Picture a small fire, somewhere on a cold night, 80,000 years ago. Around it sit maybe 20 people, no books, no words written down anywhere on Earth, no doctors, no diagrams, no app telling them what week it is. And yet, every single person staring into that fire is alive, only because someone, generations back, figured something out, something we now bury in textbooks in biology class. How does new life actually begin? There was no teacher for this, no manual, so how did they know? The answer is stranger and more human than you'd expect. And by the end of this, you'll understand why the most important discovery our species ever made wasn't fire, or tools, or language. It was this one. Let's start with the stakes, because they were not small. For early humans, this was never about curiosity. A tribe that didn't reproduce simply stopped existing. No new hunters, no new gatherers, no one to carry the stories forward. Within a generation, the whole group was gone, as if it had never been there at all. So understanding how life began wasn't an interesting side project. It was survival, full stop, the single most important thing a tribe could get right. But here's the problem. You can't observe conception. You can't watch it happen. So how do you reverse engineer something invisible? You watch everything else. Early humans lived their entire lives outdoors, surrounded by animals, and animals don't hide anything. They watched deer in the rut. They watched birds building nests. They watched a pregnant animal grow heavier over time, and then, weeks later, watched it give birth. They saw the mating, they saw the swelling belly, they saw the newborn, 3 events, always in that order, over and over, across every species they hunted. The natural world was the only classroom they had, and it never closed. At some point, a pattern like that stops being a coincidence. It becomes a rule. If it's true for the deer, the wolves, the birds, why would it not be true for us? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Early humans didn't need to understand this pattern intellectually to act on it, long before anyone could have explained why. Attraction and desire were already doing the work. Nature didn't wait for humans to figure out the mechanism, it just made sure the behavior happened anyway. Think about that for a second. The drive came first. The understanding came later. People were having children for tens of thousands of years before anyone could have told you exactly why. The instinct was the engine. The observation was just catching up to explain what the body already knew. And once that connection started to form, in tribe after tribe, around fire after fire, it didn't stay a private thought. It couldn't. Because in a small tribe, there is no privacy. Everyone slept close together, ate together, moved together. When a woman's body began to change, everyone saw it. When labor began, the whole camp knew. Birth wasn't hidden behind a hospital door. It happened right there, often with the entire group nearby, which meant every person in that tribe, from childhood, witnessed the entire arc. Pregnancy, birth, a new life joining the group. You didn't need a lecture. You'd seen it with your own eyes, dozens of times, before you were even old enough to have children yourself. And what people see, they talk about, around the fire at night, the stories got told, a pregnancy that went well, one that didn't, a birth that took all night, the signs that came before, none of this was written down, because nothing was written down. But it didn't need to be. It got told again and again to children who would one day tell it to their own children. That's how the knowledge survived, not in ink, in voices. But there's one group in this story who didn't just observe from the outside, they lived it. Women carried the most critical knowledge of all because it was knowledge about their own bodies. They knew the signs before anyone else could see them. They knew what a difficult birth looked like and what to do when one started going wrong. This wasn't theory, this was experience. Passed from older women to younger ones, mother to daughter, generation after generation, in a world with no medicine. This knowledge was the only medicine there was, and it was often the difference between a mother and child surviving, or not. So by now, somewhere along the way, the pattern had clicked. Tribes understood, in their own way, where new life came from, and that's where everything changes. Because once you understand where children come from, a whole new set of questions opens up. Whose child is this? Who is responsible for them? Who do they belong to when they grow older? Suddenly, biology isn't just biology anymore, it's the seed of something much bigger. Families formed. Bloodlines became something worth tracking. Identity, who you were, who your people were, started to be built on top of this single biological fact. The understanding of reproduction quietly became the foundation for family, for lineage, for the stories tribes told about themselves and where they came from. Everything we now call society, the idea of a family name, of inheritance, of your people, traces back to this moment, back to a tribe around a fire, finally putting the pieces together. No textbooks, no science, no written word, just instinct, doing what it was built to do. Eyes, watching the world closely enough to find the pattern, and voices, around a fire, making sure no one ever had to discover it twice. That's how the most important knowledge our species ever held got passed down, not through a classroom, through a campfire.